Tesla investors don't see Tesla as just a car company anymore, but make no mistakes about it, Tesla's core business is still auto, and stocks rise when the core business is back to growth. Today, we'll do a complete update on how Tesla's car sales are doing around the world. Shockingly and unexpectedly, auto reviewer Edmunds finally gave Tesla its due and voted the Model Y the best car 2025. With the success of the YL and the IRA credit causing sellouts, is Q3 on track to beat 500,000 vehicles? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The Model YL is now being delivered in huge numbers in China, and total vehicle sales is only down 7% compared to last year. While Europe sales are down 21% year over year, it's Germany that's the main source of the downturn at only 30% of last year's sales. We'll also look at India, a new market for Tesla, Taiwan, South Korea, and Turkey. Brian White is one of the best Tesla retail analysts we have. His YouTube channel, FutureAza, is a must-watch as he uniquely travels the world and gets exclusive factory tours and interviews. Thank you so much, Brian.
It's great to be here. There's a lot to cover, and there's some truth in there, and we're going to find out how much. Well, there is.
Yeah, there is.
There always is. Sometimes it's just a grain of sand. This has more than a grain of sand. There are some trouble spots to look at, and we'll discuss it.
Love that you visit these countries. You were in China, you were in Europe, and then now you were just recently now just in Nepal. So you're checking out what's going on in the auto market and other factories. So let's start with this. The new Model Y is the best car we've driven in 2025. This is Edmunds. Is that great? We'd never thought the day. They're funded, of course, by the automakers. And so, that was our excuse why they've always neglected Tesla, but I think they can't ignore it anymore. These are the best cars we've tested in 2025 so far. And I think what they're saying is that, they would call it the most improved car because obviously they bashed the original Model Y. But now they're saying that this new Model Y solved many of the issues that the last gen suffered from. Ride quality has gone from insufferable to perhaps the best among its competitors. Interior build quality issues, they're gone. Cabin took a much needed leap forward in both fit and finish and materials. And then, of course, the other positives, cargo room, acceleration is pretty quick. UNet well over 300 miles of range. Okay, so they're speaking very positively about this. After testing over 200 vehicles, Edmunds says new Model Y is the best. And Elon replies saying it's a great car. What are you thinking about that comment?
Okay, so when Tesla was a new company, when the Model S came out, it won so many awards. And it is the worst mass-produced car Tesla has made because every car since then has been better. Every year of the Model S has been better. So how is the original Model S a work of genius and everything since then's okay? And for the Model Y, if you were to make a list of all your complaints, which I have, all of them were addressed with the refresh, with the Juniper refresh. I wanted range that was a little closer to the EPA rating. It does that now. I wanted a smoother, more refined ride. And they're talking about, they described, I thought they were describing themselves, used to be insufferable, but now they're okay. But no, that was the ride quality they were describing. So I think, hey, this is, sometimes it gets to a point where you just can't pretend anymore that it's bad. And if you were to give them a terrible score, I had a viewer send me for my giggling pleasure. He said, I don't know if you've seen the German media, but they consistently rank Tesla near the bottom in innovation. And I said, there's no way. That's hilarious. So he sent me a screenshot of it. 15th. They rank behind SAIC and Great Wall Motors for innovation. Really? Okay, great. But you damage your credibility when you tell lies that big. And I think Edmunds recognized that.
Yeah. So it's nice that Edmunds, a mag, insufferable mag, finally acknowledged Tesla. But yeah, it doesn't really matter, right? What matters, this is like one author, one journalist, and maybe a team of them saying this. What matters is Tesla Model Y is the number one best-selling car in the world. And that's, people are voting with their dollars. You can only convince a certain amount of people. A lot of dollars.
If I could make a car that's pretty good, maybe not as good as a Model Y, but the same size, and sell it for $5-10 grand, I would have the number one selling car in the world. Wouldn't I? Maybe, probably. But what I wouldn't have is profit. What I wouldn't have is the ability to continue making the cars. And what I wouldn't have is a great car. The fact that a car as expensive as the Model Y is number one in the world, probably not this year, but the last 2 years. And if it wasn't in 24, I saw a report saying, the RAV4 might have edged it out. Look, this is still a relatively new car compared to the RAV4 from a very new company compared to Toyota, compared to all the other companies that don't. There's a lot of big companies out there who are getting pushed out of the top 10. So this is, it's a huge feat. And the Model Y is just a good car.
All right, Bram. So what's going to happen in Q3? We know that the IRA credit is just gangbusters. It sounds like Tesla's selling every car they're making in Q3. But now people are betting that they think that Tesla could actually hit 501,000 cars in Q3. Q4 last year was the highest delivery quarter on record, 495, and that's Q4. And so this is, people are thinking this. This is from a betting site called Kalshi 501. Obviously, it's way too high. And it seems like it's one of those things where, a Tesla Q will always say, Tesla's going to hit 1 million cars this quarter. And then when they miss, they're so terrible. This is thanks to Gary Black, he prepared this, but basically the institutional analysts, their, average of what they're thinking is 430. So, I don't think we're going to hit 500,000, but anything over 430 would be a great number. But of course, now we're set up. What's your expectations, Brian?
When I saw that 501, my first thought was, I'll take the under. And I even ran a poll on X. And despite how very bullish my followers on X are, the overwhelming winner is, we'll take the under. That's just too high. So I don't know why people are betting that high. Maybe they're looking to trade the bets before it happens. I don't know. There was one quarter, maybe 2-3 years ago, where Gordon Johnson would employ exactly the strategy you're talking about. He would say, Tesla, busted growth story. Deliveries are going to be, 310. And everyone else is like, 280, Gordon, what are you talking about? And I think it was the last quarter that he provided those numbers, because everyone said, look, if it's 310, why is your price target a wooden nickel and a coupon for a button? It doesn't make sense. And he said, and then the numbers came out and he was the closest.
Where do you come up with this, Brad? Where do you get this stuff from? It was just what a nickel.
a smidge over what he predicted, and he was the highest on the street. And people said, wow, Gordon, you got it right. But again, why was your price target so low? And so I think he's given up on that strategy, or being an analyst or whatever it is he thinks, a fund manager. I'd be very curious to know who pays him. So the 501, I don't see it, in part because Fremont, while running at full speed, great. Austin is not running as many shifts as they have in the past. Berlin is not running as many shifts as they have in the past. Shanghai, you look at, it doesn't look like they're quite back to full speed. That's it. That's the whole story. So beating 495 seems out of reach.
Okay. Thank you for that analysis. And so here's the Model Y L has taken off, is doing really well. Now, they just started delivery a few days ago by the time this show published, and it's going crazy, from all accounts. Initial deliveries have begun, according to Tesla China. The Model Y L coming from its production line. This is the photo that they shared. Beautiful car. It's coming out, and the first batch has begun getting registered, and we're now seeing customers driving them off.
Customer deliveries.
Customers. Yeah. So, photos of people accepting the car and driving off. There's two families there. It's great to see the big families. That's why you can see why they bought it, right? Like, this family needs it badly. They're huge. A good number there. And the reviews are coming in, and the reviews are awesome. Let's watch one. Today, I'm going to take you to drive this car, feel it. Let's see how this Model Y performs. Let's take a look at the software version number, and he goes through it and all that. It's obvious suspension's become better, more Tesla, more controllable. Let's see what else it can give you. Yeah. So, anyways, these reviews are great.
I can't believe what a great job they did preserving the look of the Y while making it that much greater in volume on the interior. Good job. Good job. That's a challenge, and I think they nailed it. People, of course, will look at it and say, well, I think it's ugly. Great. You don't need a car reviewer to tell you if you like something. That's not anyone else's job. That's up to you. Some people will love it, some will hate it. But a lot of people buy a vehicle, even if it's ugly, if it's what they need, if it fits their purpose. You will not see fleet buyers saying, well, we were going to get, Lightnings, but the Ram looks better. No, they look at the specs. This one just happens to nail both categories well. And for all the people saying bigger cars will never sell in China, I would say to you, you haven't been to China. Bigger cars are what is in the showrooms. It's what moves out on the roads. You will see plenty of little vehicles, the Wulings, the MG Comets, which is a Wuling with a different skin. There's a lot of small cars, but there's a lot of big cars. And clearly, when we saw the 38,000 number, the 40, then 50,000, now we're hearing it might be 120,000. It might be adding new orders at a rate of 10,000 a day, which I think is maybe for a couple of days, but I don't know how long you could sustain that. That tells you that they've got the inability to produce enough of them this year to meet the demand. Shanghai will sell every unit they can possibly make, and they will run as many shifts as they can because the money's right there.
Yeah, isn't that great that Tesla seems to know what they're doing? They seem to launch something, and the backseat quarterbacks, the couches go, "Oh, I'm not sure that will sell." And then Tesla launches something, and
it's frustrating at times, but they can't possibly. Well, first of all, FSD will never be approved in China. Yeah, how's that going? Well, okay, China, but not outside the US. Guys, we've got all of North America, we've got China, we've now got Australia. Australia's a right-hand drive market. This is happening. This is real. I don't know where you'll move the goalpost to. I just hope you keep the motor as an electric motor on the goalpost, because you have to move them so frequently. I'm worried about your carbon footprint.
Okay, let's keep going. There's a lot to cover. We're going to cover quite a number of countries. Not all good news, okay? And so let's go through it, but at least we'll have a real sense of what really is happening. A big, giant thank you to Roland Percher at Pololi. We often will use his graphs and charts and his numbers. You really need to follow him on X. So let's go through China first. 12,500 Tesla insurance registrations were reported for the week of August 25th to 31. This is up 21% from last week, but negative 13% year over year. That's the week, okay? But the quarter is 38% compared to last quarter, negative 12%. What matters more is where we are year to date. And year to date, we're about negative 7% year over year compared to last year. We're down 7%. But of course, it's because
of the massive,
was shut down. Factories were shut down for several weeks, longer than we expected. But if you look at this graph here, we're in the pink. That's 2025. We're in the third quarter, so it stops right here for now. And you can see that we're below 24 Q3, the green. So if you look at the green, that's where we should be, but we're down here because we had a catch-up thing to do. And this is the year over the year. This is my favorite chart. It's easy to understand. The blue is 2025, and the red is 2024. So we're behind. We're behind. But do you think that we're going to catch up? Is there a chance to catch up by the end of the year?
Catch up is tough. They were running at full speed. Here's some headwinds to consider. If this is just sales within China, it doesn't mean the factory isn't exporting more, because I don't know if that number includes the exports. If it doesn't, then
no, it doesn't. Insurance data for China, right?
For China, because he publishes each country separately. Giga Shanghai serves more markets than ever before every year. Some of those vehicles cannot be sold in China if they're sold somewhere else. And another thing was the retooling. That's really hard to catch up on that. I think there is a fixed number of vehicles that they can sell, that they can build, and that they are always, they can always go another 1%, another 2%, and the Juniper is easier to build than the older Model Y, and the Model Y is the one that they make by far the most of in that factory. So it is possible, but catching up by 7% with only 4 months to go is really tough to do. Not impossible, but this could be a down year for Giga Shanghai.
Well, okay, so we got the Model Y L going gangbusters. China seems to stable right now economy. And then the question is, do you expect the more affordable vehicle to be launched in China? The rumors I'm hearing is that it's only going to be in the US for this quarter. If that comes out, maybe.
I don't think it's going to be out this quarter. I heard in the live stream today that Alexandra Mertz had the theory that it could be released in the last week. You could get bills of sale
here in the US.
Right. But I don't believe the IRS is going to certify any new vehicles under that program a week before the program expires.
Good point.
I don't, unless they called it a Model Y, but the individual trims with the model names are being called out specifically. So I don't think that would work. I'm very hopeful to see that smaller one. We've seen some photos that look like we might be looking at something, but they're, drone shots from a quarter mile away. It gets a little tough to see, even though the drones are very good, very expensive. So I don't know that we'll see the compact. In China, there's fierce competition. All the competitors are getting better at a very rapid pace, and that's going to affect Tesla. If Tesla wasn't still innovating, still adding the things customers wanted, they'd already be done. They'd be out. But the reality is they made a new product that's compelling, and then they've expanded that lineup with the YL. And if they add a compact to it as well, boy, we are covering just about the entire market, apart from, convertibles, which don't sell very many units, and vans, which Tesla's been hesitant to get into.
All right, let me clarify what you're saying, though. You're saying that you do not think that the compact Model Y will go into China this quarter, Q4. Definitely. But it will go into the US in Q4, but not Q3. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying nobody's getting it Q3, and it's possible the US or China or everybody could get it in Q4. Everybody, they could. We just don't have enough information.
So you're not going to make a call on that. Okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. That's China. Europe, bad numbers. But if you look at it overall, and then you kind of drill down into countries, then we get a better sense of what's actually happening. And again, thank you to Roland. He said in Europe, and there's an asterisk, because Europe is only UK, Norway, Netherlands, Sweden, Denmark, Italy, Spain, Switzerland, Czech Republic, and Iceland. That was the data that he could get at this point. 60% of sales in Europe. And what he's saying is that year-to-date sales are down 21% year over year. Again, this is Europe based on, where we are at as of August 31st. Cumulative Tesla sales from some European countries over the year were in red, and we're supposed to be at least in the yellow, and we're way off, 21%. That looks bad. And then when you look at Germany, though, this is where it really got hit hard. I think that's the most important thing about Europe when you look at it. It was not across the board. It's not every single country. Every country has a different story. Germany's story is really different. So it looks here that year to date, look at that last sentence, 30%. 30% of last year's total. That is a complete just downturn, crash. Mm-hmm. Here's 2025 in the blue, and 2024 was the red. This is where we should have been, ought to have been, but I think part of the reason why it fell, of course, is because their version of the credit went away.
That went away a while ago. That didn't go away in the last year or so. But they did have
2023 didn't think that that's the reason this was so high.
Oh, the credit may have still been there in 23.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The beginning of 24 is when they added a tax that impacted Model 3 sales. The China import tax. But that number for Germany, and the reason Roland Percher doesn't include the Germany numbers is because Germany doesn't publish them weekly like the other countries do. So he has to wait and then put it basically in its own bucket. There's cause for concern, and there's a variety of factors. Yeah.
Okay, we do know that I think the number is 60% of all sales in Germany. Jan of TeslaFix, who lives there, told me this, right?
Mhm.
Are they're sold to businesses,
Mhm.
who buy them, corporate cars. They're not sold to consumers. That's one reason, and of course, yeah, brand damage. That seemed to be more prevalent. I don't know. I'm guessing, but that's it seems to be that's the one country that certainly looked like something happened there.
Yes, I can see that being the case. When I've interviewed Case from the Netherlands, when I've interviewed Jan, when I've interviewed Robin TV and other Germans, David from Tesla Welt, I ask brand damage, is it real? And they all
Hmm.
go, yeah, yeah, it's real. So it's unfortunate. It's an unforced error. It would have been great if we didn't have to deal with that. But, he's a package deal. And sometimes he just has some really strong opinions. He feels the need to repost on X at 3 a.m.
Better than the throne, but okay. I thought you were going to go that route, but okay. So, Brian, you're awesome. Thank you
Thank
for just so much info. But you interview as many more German experts than I have, so
you. Mm.
that's
Well,
really
I,
good.
I travel a lot, so I know them. I spent time in Germany. I spent time in
Yeah,
Austria and
with them.
Switzerland
Yeah,
with them. Yes.
yeah,
And then, of course, I invite them. I run a number of events during the year, so I have invited them to speak at my events. I've had them
yeah,
come out. It's been
yeah.
wonderful. And I do this everywhere I go. I've had in Nepal, I had the chance to interview the CEO of
Mm,
BYD, not the BYD, but the BYD distribution company, the company that has
yeah.
the BYD of Nepal. And BYD in Nepal, by the way, has uh, 48% market share of EVs, and
Mm,
EVs are 76% of the market. So his company's selling kind of like 28-30% of all new cars in Nepal. Uh, and you get some insights from people like that. And I'm always adding them to my list of
pretty good.
experts I can rely
All
on in
right.
the future.
Well, one thing that many of us did not believe was going to happen was India. So we were thinking there was going to be a gig India. We thought it was going to be a massive thing. They actually did end up creating retail stores. They are now, Tesla's now selling cars in India. But we're not, it's not gangbusters. I don't think that it's going to stay this way, but it doesn't look that big yet. Now, you got to remember that there's still tremendous tariffs. That wasn't removed yet. These deals, these negotiations is supposed to happen, but Tesla decided to move forward anyways. Right now, Tesla said to average 100 orders a week in India since July launch. That is current. I don't know how real this is. Has received only 600 vehicle orders, according to Bloomberg. Right? We don't know how true that is. The U.S. brand is planning to ship between 350 to 600, 500 vehicles to India until the end of the year, with the first batch arriving in the country this month. Full payments for vehicles ordered. First Teslas arrive in the country are Model Ys, shipped from Shanghai. The company manufactures the model both in China and the U.S. So, what do you think? Is this something to overreact on, or is it real, or what's going on?
I believe it's real. I don't see a reason why. That would be a weird one for Bloomberg to make up. Uh, when they've had problems in the past, it's on more nuanced things. And if they were to say, "Oh no, what we meant is it's 100 a week per location," there's only 2 locations, I think, so that wouldn't change it a whole lot. Is it concerning? I'd say yes. I'd say yes, it is, because 100 a week for a country of 1 billion people with tens of thousands of millionaires is not good. The import tariff is very high, but that import tariff is on all kinds of imported cars, the BMWs, the Mercedes. The Tesla's got some cachet, in part because it is a well-known brand, but also in part because it's scarce. You're going to be the first kid on the block with the new toy. That's got a lot of value. So I'm curious why it is as low as it is. And
Hmm.
I do find that a little concerning.
Well, yeah, like you said, you have to get the millionaires to pony up $71,000 for a Model Y.
Mm.
That's a lot for a
It's
Model
not as
Y.
bad as I expected.
Okay. And the Indian tax panel is considering higher consumer taxes on luxury electric vehicles costing more than 46,000, which would apply to Tesla.
What a great idea. Just as this business is taking off, we really want these people. God, it would be great if Tesla built a factory. Let's tax them some more.
But the Prime Minister Modi is looking to reform it, and these are it's a game, right, between what the U.S. is doing with tariffs and so forth. So we'll know.
Yes.
India currently imposes a duty of 110%. That's a lot. It's a double on imported vehicles that cost more than $40,000, which has led Tesla to hold back on plans to enter the country before. So I have a theory.
Okay.
The theory is Tesla wants to get going. They're not expecting to sell 1 million of these cars in India. They're just getting this, get the retail stores up. We'll sell a handful here because what are they going to sell in India? A more affordable vehicle. When that comes, they're set up and they've learned they've figured out things, and that will just grease the sales of that.
Yes.
That's my theory.
So for India and Nepal and a lot of markets where the roads aren't great, you need more ground clearance. A Model 3, while affordable, would be destroyed in a week because the ground clearance needs to be realistically 175, 180 millimeters, so like 7-8 inches of ground clearance. Otherwise, you'll be scraping all day. A Model Y, you can change the suspension, and owners in Kathmandu have done exactly that because otherwise it's just undrivable. And I never saw a Model 3 in the country. I'm sure they exist, but I don't know how you get anywhere with that kind of ground clearance.
That's shocking. That's surprising. Yeah, because Model 3 is so much cheaper than a Model Y. Well, not so much cheaper, but it's a smaller car. But that's why. That's good explanation. Yes. See, that's a little bit of insight there. Knowledge. Squeezing you. Share more.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing is you got to bring the cars that are going to sell. Model Y is already a popular one, so that's a good choice. In Kathmandu, the gentleman I interviewed who has a Model Y paid about $145,000 for it. Seeing it in India for 72, I think it's quite reasonable.
That's a deal.
It's a bargain. It's half price, man. Just keep the India plates. Drive it in Nepal. He had considered driving to India in his Tesla, and then saw how brutal the charging network was going to be to get him there. They have a ton of chargers already in Nepal. India is still working to develop them. It's a much larger country.
What do you think of my theory? The model, you don't think so? The compact car is not going to make its debut sometime in the next 3 years?
So I don't disagree with that at all. What I wanted to say is that they have the time. If the compact is based on the Y, they could make it taller. They could make it tall enough. And especially if they shorten the wheelbase at all, then you don't need as much ground clearance because you don't get high centered as easy. I think your theory is fine.
Okay. They're just getting their foot in the door. All right. Well, let's finish this up. A few more countries here. You got Taiwan, new Model Y. It continues its reign as Taiwan's best-selling electric vehicle in June, July, and August, also taking the #1 position among luxury imported SUVs. In August, it rose to #2 in overall vehicle sales, excluding commercial vehicles. So that's great news. These are the things. You see the Toyota Corolla Cross sold 3,400. Tesla Model Y is just 1,879. And bestseller for 3 consecutive months, EV sales for EVs. Wow. Okay, this is EVs. This is all cars, right?
Mm-hmm. #2 out of all cars. #1, of course, in electric. Are you going to cover Norway before we wrap up?
I kind of missed that one. But why don't you just tell us?
Norway. So Norway's already #1 in EV adoption. They're already a huge Tesla market. It's not a huge market, but the market that is there has historically skewed very heavy, with Model Y and Model 3 taking the top 2 spots. Well, with all the brand damage, with all the saturation, with all the competition, Tesla has once again taken the #1 and 2 spots with the Model Y and 3 because, I don't know, in Norway, maybe the political thing didn't hit them. Maybe the union thing they don't care about. Maybe they just want the best car for the money. And I would argue with no hesitation, the 3 and Y are the best values in the segment.
Thank you for giving me the update on that. Tesla delivered a record almost 8,000 units in South Korea in August. That's a good number. Imported 6,600. South Korea became Tesla's 3rd largest market after U.S. and China. That is surprising.
Yeah.
Even I guess that must mean more than any individual. Yeah, like I guess Germany fell and all that, right? And
Right.
then Tesla Korea's best month ever. That's great. For
And Korea
maintaining the
has
one.
domestic manufacturing that they
Mm-hmm.
love, that they have a natural affinity to, just the same way people in the US like American made cars and people in Germany like German made cars. It's just it's a natural thing. And yet Tesla comes in and they're like, and markets, all kinds of markets look at it and go, boy, I don't know, man. I think I should get that instead. It's
All right.
exciting.
Okay, so Brian GPT, please give me a 2-minute summary of your view of Tesla vehicle sales across the world. Where are we, and how's it compared to last year, and are we going to get better?
Is it going to get better? Yes. It tends to get better as soon as Elon stops posting things that are divisive, that are likely to upset some significant percentage of people. So he's been doing that a bit less. And I think once the compensation plan is in place, he'll do it even less still. Maybe not. Who knows? But I see a lot of hope ahead, a lot of blue water all around us that is keeping everyone else away. When it comes to the global market, as you saw, there are highlights and lowlights, but overall, it's still pretty good. And the new products are being received well, whether that's the Juniper refresh or the YL. And I do believe that those will just keep rolling out. We're only getting performance model wise out of Berlin so far. That's going to expand to the other factories as well. Why wouldn't it? And then we'll have all kinds of opportunities there. And I will say one last thing about Nepal is that they do have a deal worked out with a dealership who will actually have a dealership. Because they don't run them the way they do in the US. And that would allow them to bring in software limited Model Ys that only have 100 kilowatts of horsepower, not the motor, not the battery, but the motor itself, which would mean they would be able to sell a Model Y in Nepal for not 150,000, but more like 35, 36,000.
Wow.
If they do
Okay.
that,
Good info.
gonna
All
have
right.
another
So in general, though, some people are telling me they're going, okay, Q3 is going to be a gangbuster quarter. Great. We're going to be back to growth. Q4 maybe go down, but don't forget, we're going to have the new compact car coming out in one of the countries. But maybe with everything in place by Q1 next year, you've got the model, the compact car, you got the Model YL, you got the Model Y. Things are going to be back to growth again after Q4. Are you one that would say that?
I am on board with you on that. I think Q1, if they release the smaller one in Q4, it's going to take time to get out. It's just going to slow things down a little bit, whether it's showing them or getting, the right extra little parts for it. There's going to be some kind of slowdown. Not a retooling one. We're confident that was already done. But by Q1, it should be ironed out. Q1 is historically soft. If the demand remains very strong, they can not have a soft Q1. They could have a Q1 that's good, that looks like Q4, just because the softness in Q1 is due to demand, due to limited demand. We could circumvent that.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Follow Brian on his YouTube channel. Highly, highly recommend you to check him out. FutureAza, one of the best channels out there. He does deep dives. You saw some information that I squeezed out of him today. Thank you, Brian.
Of course.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.